In the shadow of a neon dusk, Jazz Cardano stood alone beneath a rusted antenna array, its dish long since repurposed by squatters into wind chimes of warped alloy. The night's wind whispered against the metal with a low, accusatory groan. His implants jittered, half a second behind reality now, and the faint glow of layer overlays haunted the edges of his vision. His balance wavered as though he straddled two worlds, neither solid. He was broke, not in the common sense, not the kind of broke that meant no dinner or no ride home. He was zeroed out in the most absolute terms. No identity keys, no liquidity channels, no way to verify he even existed. Without SATs, he couldn't buy bandwidth, shelter, or a single micron of compute to run the cold storage node hiding the most damning evidence in human history. That night, in a damp tenement server crawlspace, Jazz pawned the last thing he truly owned, his ship. She wasn't much anymore, a janky old salvage school with an oxidized hull and a thruster that hiccuped when the pressure dropped. But she was his. He'd named her Liberty's Lie years ago in a moment of grim self-awareness. Selling her felt like slicing off a limb. The buyer was a thick-voiced broker who used a cartoon penguin avatar and overpaid slightly. Perhaps out of pity, perhaps because even the old junkers were in demand again. Wars make good business. The deal settled in moments. One on-chain signature, a brief chime, the screen blinked. Block confirmed. He sat down on the metal floor, his breath steaming faintly in the cold. Then slowly, Jazz began uploading. Not the black box logs, not the whole trove. No, that was too dangerous, too early. Instead, he edited together a 30-second clip. Slick layer kill cam footage cross-faded with satellite images of the exact same street, post-strike. He picked a particularly grotesque one. A drone strike in Ankara that had leveled a school. The player's voice, his own years ago, cracked through the audio. Boom, baby. That's another quad feed. Then silence. Then a girl's sandal in the rubble. He overlaid text in bold retro gamer font. This is your game, GG. And posted it. He didn't use his name. He didn't have one anymore. Instead, he called the channel Dead Zone Clips and minted the post into a non-fungible meme. Anyone could tip sats for future drops or remix the footage to help it go viral. He thought maybe 10 people would care, but then something happened. The channel blew up. It started on niche feeds, anti-war anons and disgruntled game modders, but soon bled into bigger streams. Streamers reacted live, their avatars pale with horror. Some laughed nervously, some wept. One famous FPS influencer vomited on air, and the saties came. A trickle first, then a flow, then a flood. It wasn't just sympathy, it was curiosity. People wanted more. They tipped sats to vote on the next expose. Some even paid to see if their old usernames showed up in the logs. Morbid vanity or guilt, Jazz couldn't tell. But within a week, his cold wallet was flush. He could rent compute, he could open channels, he could fight. The memes evolved. Volunteers clipped and remixed. A satirical streamer dubbed the whole series Kill Streak Confessionals and animated Jazz's voice into a cartoon raccoon with PTSD. Another layered in retro 80s synthwave and dubbed it Blood Neon. Comedy became activism. Irony became weaponized. Obelisk noticed. The first botnet strike took down the primary node. Jazz laughed grimly. It meant they were scared. He set up mirrors across 6 mesh relays and migrated the channel to a Sphinx chat group gated by microtips. The more people paid in, the more copies of the files were seeded. They couldn't censor him without paying him. It was a death spiral for their control. In the heat of the mimetic explosion, Jazz called in a favor. He reached out to an old rogue miner who once helped him launder satellite copper through a proof-of-work art market. The miner now ran a covert ASIC farm below a hydroelectric station on the Croatian border. She offered compute for cheap, but only if he promised to burn the fuckers who cooked the Balkans. Deal. Within days, Jazz had enough power to crack open deeper shards of Obelisk's kill logic. He decrypted packet trails showing how drone strike voting weights were subtly influenced by layer match scores. Players who won more, got more say in future missions. An economy of death wrapped in leaderboard candy. The dopamine was the fuel. The children were the miners. He didn't sleep. Not really. The implants blurred memory and moment, and sometimes he woke to the sound of screaming, only to realize it was a corrupted audio cache playing through his left ear. But he pushed on. He posted a new clip each night, every one more brutal than the last. A 12-year-old celebrating a flawless op, unaware he'd vaporized the hospital. A tournament win that coincided with the erasure of an entire Kurdish village. Always paired with SAT data, always irrefutable, and always followed by a chime. Block confirmed they began calling it the price of a block, the unwitting cost of digital finality. Every time the mempool cleared, some corner of reality burned. Then came the copycats. A movement began. Decentralized whistleblowers, kids uploading their own logs, former Obelisk interns leaking targeting data sets. A whole underground formed, an ecosystem of digital conscience. Jazz had become a node, not the leader, not the face, but the seed. Yet beneath the tide of sat tips and viral outrage, he felt the dread growing. Kaya warned him Obelisk wouldn't stay on defense for long. And she was right, because just as Jazz began prepping the master drop, a 3-minute fusion of gameplay, financial transactions, and civilian death indexes, Kaya vanished. The screen blinked. No chime this time, just silence. And Jazz, back in the crawl space, staring at a wallet full of Satoshis that now meant nothing. The price of a block had been paid, but he wasn't sure yet by whom.